Hello and welcome back to my second FastTrack video. Like the first FastTrack video, this will try to include everything we've covered from before this video. So in this video, I'm going to try and do mostly control structures, but also some input, output, and basic data types. So as most FastTrack videos go, we're going to start with the beginning sections of planning, organization, coding, and result. So in this program, I want to use all of the stuff we've learned before. I am going to ask for 3 numbers. Okay, then I'm going to add them all up, and I'm going to display it. So the organization of this program, we're going to say, so we're going to create variables at the beginning. We're going to have a loop, so make a while loop. And actually, let's make it a for loop, because it's only going to run 3 times. We're going to make a for loop. We're going to ask for numbers in the for loop. And we're also going to do an if check. So if check, if the number is greater than 10, output alert. Alright, and finally we're going to add them all up and output them in that order. Alright, so let's close this with coding. Sorry, comments, not coding. Alright, so we're going to make our variables first. We're going to have one variable out here that we're going to call sum. It's going to be an integer, and we're going to start it off with 0. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to make the input equal to 0. Alright, so those are our variables. Then we're going to make a for loop, and we're going to be using input. Actually, no, let's use I, just a simple counter. So we're going to say, I want this loop to run 3 times. Because I starts at 0, every time I is less than 3, so 0, 1, 2, as it increments 1 each time. 0, 1, and 2 makes 3. 0 plus 1 plus 2. So we go inside this loop. Then we're going to ask the user, enter the next number. And we're going to put an inline first, and an inline after. Now, we're going to ask for input. So they're going to enter a number, and what we want this number to do is we want sum to get bigger using the shorthand, or I could write it like this, sum equals sum plus input. Those are both the exact same thing. I'm going to use the shorter one. So sum is going to get bigger by the amount you put into each input. Then we're going to have an if, which is just going to check the input. So I wanted to say that if the input is greater than 10, we're going to output an alert. For no particular reason, just to show you how an if works. So we're going to output alert, number is big. So that'll be nice to show on the screen. Alright, now if you look at this loop, it's going to run 3 times. It'll say this entire loop will run 3 times. So it'll say enter the next number, you enter, it'll increment sum, it'll check, start again for 3 times. When it leaves this loop, what we want to do is we said we want to add them all up. So sum has already been added up inside the loop. So all we have to do is say the sum of all those 3 numbers is, and we're going to put out sum. So this should work. Save it. Yes. Alright, so we're going to enter a number. Let's say, okay, we're going to enter 3 numbers that add up to 30. So 8. Okay. So it goes inside the if, or it doesn't go inside the if, because it's not greater than 10. Then we're going to enter 18. Oh, number's bigger than 10. Went inside the if. Now it wants us to enter the last number, and we're going to say 4. So the sum of all those 3 numbers is 30. Program's working just as we said it would, as we did in the planning. So I'll go through it one more time. We create the variables. We have one that's going to change every time you input a new variable. This is just going to record what happens. This input variable is changing every time because you ask the person to input 3 times. First time, second time, third time. Every time it gets put into sum. So we start int. This is actually creating int I. There's another way I could do it here. I could say int I, just as it is. Then I wouldn't have to have this declaration of its type. I could say I equals 0. All this does is save 0, as the equal sign does, into I, and then does this. If you only want to create the variable and have it be destroyed when the for loop finishes, you can create it in here, it'll carry on, and once it's finished with this loop, I won't exist anymore. I'll show you here. If I see out I, the program's going to break because I doesn't actually exist at that point. So, one last thing to show you is I promised to show you what could happen if you entered something that was not expected. They're expecting numbers. If I enter if I enter a string, this should have some bad effects. You'll see it enters the next number and the next number when you enter a string. So it reads A for the first one, D for the second one, K for the third one, and then F, J, L, and S are lost. And it tries to add them all up, it ends up with 0, so the entire loop is essentially broken. So just be very careful about what you input. That's it for the test program for all the control structures, data types, and input-output. And I'll see you in the next video. We're going to be doing functions. I hope you enjoyed it. See you next time.